And for 40 years of his life, he was a human being, not claiming any prophethood or messengership. His people were polytheists. He himself did not engage in idol worship. He was sort of aloof from that, nor did he criticize them. At the age of 40, he began to experience receiving the first revelation of Quran. He continued to receive the revelation of Quran over a period of 23 years. It wasn't like a book given all in one night, at least to the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. So over the period of 23 years, 13 of those years were in a city called Mecca, 10 of those years in a city called Medina, which of course are still there. And again, when we talk about the life of Prophet Muhammad, we'll go more into that. Here, sent to all of mankind from the very beginning. Of course, he was in Arabia, so the majority of his followers at the beginning were Arabs. But also, there were Abyssinians and people from the Byzantine Empire, Persians. And it is also explicitly stated in the Quran that Allah sent him as a mercy to all of the worlds. And need some commentary about this word worlds, because I put here sent to all of mankind, but we believe he was also sent to what's called the jinn, which are creatures made out of fire, but that's another story. We can get into that. I don't want to overwhelm you with a bunch of things all at once, if I haven't done so already. So this is unique because every other prophet and messenger was sent to their people in their time, and that was their responsibility. The exception may be, we could say, Jesus, peace upon him, because we do believe as Muslims that he will come back, that he has basically that period from the age of 30 to 33, which has already passed, but then he comes back at the end of time. And again, that will be then, the final sort of statement from Allah to all of mankind. But that's, again, a very interesting kind of compare and contrast, sort of end of days type situation that Muslims view, that Christians view. That will come up when we talk about belief in the prophets and we talk about our belief in Jesus, peace be upon him. Finally, the specific Islam, for example, how we pray, how we fast, how we set up marriage contracts, what is allowed in business dealings, what is not allowed. The two sources are right here, the Quran, the book of God, and then his messenger Muhammad, which is his own words, not the Quran, but his own words and his own teachings. So what is this third thing here? Basically, this is in Arabic. It's the hadith, which is what Prophet Muhammad spoke. Let me put some of these because they're not on the board. So you usually hear this word hadith. It's basically little snippets, I would call them puzzle pieces, of incidents in time where the Prophet ﷺ said something, did something, approved of something, etc. So when you have, over a period of 23 years, thousands and thousands and thousands of reports, in addition to a revealed text, to come up and actually derive a ruling, it's not easy except for where it's something very clearly stated, right? And so I just wanted to make that sort of point that in Islam there are jurists and scholars as well as different schools of thought, right? Whenever you have a human being trying to use their reason to derive what God is intending, then you will have a few differences here and there. So I just wanted, again, to allude to that as we continue through this class. So any questions about what I mean by this word specific Islam? It'll become, I think, clearer and clearer as we proceed through the course. But all right. You guys still awake? All right, good. Yes? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the question is, do we read the Quran for devotional purposes? The Quran is read at least 3 or 4 different levels. The first level, which is actually the majority of the Muslims, is they can make the correct sound. They can read the Arabic. Remember that 20% of the Muslims, of the 1.5 billion Muslims, are Arab, and 80% are non-Arab. So, but even those who are not Arab, they can read the correct sound, sometimes even better than the Arabs themselves. That's the first level of reading of Quran. And when they do that, they are doing it because this is a devotional practice that they are getting closer to God by reciting His words. That's the first level, but a person doesn't stop there, especially if they're going to get to a level of scholarship. The second level of reading is understanding, right? And then there's a third level of like a very deep, almost sort of spiritual, enlightened way of seeing and reading the Quran. So yes, it's used for devotional. It's used to find out, of course, by the scholars, to find out what does God say to do and not to do. It's used at times of death, when a person is dying, to soothe them and comfort them. It is recited by so many different people, whether religious or not religious, to try to make an ethical point here or there. So it's very much present in the common lexicon of everyday Muslims all over the world. It's a very living sort of book in that fashion. It's very accessible. Again, it's one of the first things that people learn when they're kids is how to read Quran. And then if they want to go further, they start going deeper into the meanings. Yes, sir?
Yeah, help me understand something.
Sure.
You said that for a practicing Muslim every day, there are typically two sources for information or guidance. One is the Quran, and one are the words of
Prophet Muhammad, yes.
Where are those words contained? Where is
Okay.
How is that?
So the question is, where are the words of Prophet Muhammad contained? So that is a very big topic, and in Islam we call it the science of hadith. So basically his companions, they felt very faithful to preserving what he said and taught because they incorporated it into their own life. And then they would tell their students. At the beginning it was an oral tradition. Within 100 years of the Prophet's death it became written. And so you have basically what's called hadith collections, where they try to sift out what can we say 100% that he really said or did? What can we say, well, we're pretty sure? What can we say, well, maybe? And what can we say, for sure he didn't say or do this? And when we talk about the science of hadith, basically they look at who is narrating this thing. They actually have the names and they have the biographies of all the people who did those things. They're looking at, well, could this person have been there when that happened? So it's a very rational sort of approach to saying this is historically documentable, traceable to the messenger of God or not. And so it's a very big discipline. So to summarize the question about where do you find hadith, they're actually hadith collections. Some of them are called like Bukhari, Muslim, Nisa'i, Abu Dawud. There's many, maybe 8, well there's like 6 of them which a lot of people recommend as authoritative, but there's 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, the hadith is something where it's one instant in time, and so you really have to have a lot of understanding to figure out what is that meant to apply, especially when it comes to a ruling. If it comes to a general teaching, then it's very useful. For example, Prophet Muhammad said, you will not believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. I mean, that's not really complicated. There's a depth to it, but it's not the same thing as saying, okay, well, to prepare for the prayer, can I do this thing or not do this thing and wash in this way or wash in that way? That level you have to know like a whole surrounding thing. So in one of these other slides here, some of this will come out, and then I'm going to conclude after this slide for the break, inshallah. So Islam here, just as a faith tradition or as a way of life, this is here at the center. But then there is Islam, the practice. This is what we're going to do in the first part of this class, this course, which are the 5 pillars of Islam. So this is just like the very basic thing that a Muslim does. He testifies that, here they are right here. He testifies to the one